Hi everyone, I'm Anu, Customer Success Manager at Amoeboids. Thank you for joining today's session, which is for which is on from static profiles to actionable data with UpRaise and Jira. As we all know that in terms of every organizations, um, they will have they always have a lot of employee data. Despite of having all the employee data, all the information about their employees, most of them struggle with making day-to-day decisions with confidence. So today's webinar is for HR leaders, project managers, team managers, or even CEOs who are struggling to take better decisions and faster decisions with whatever data they have. So let's move on with the agenda today. So this is going to be our agenda. First, we will talk about the fragmentation crisis, where we will try to understand when data is scattered across different platforms or in different formats, how exactly it hampers the organization's decision making and other part of the organizational processes. Then we will talk about a people data layer concept that resolves the fragmentation crisis. Then we will do a two-part demo, wherein first part I'll talk about defining and organizing your data in UpRaise within Jira. And then the second part of the demo will be how you can activate that data to take better decisions with the existing data that you have. We will also talk about the operational impact, and at the end, we will do a quick question and answer session. Now, let's talk about the fragmentation crisis. So, like I said, a lot of organizations will have a lot of data, but the clarity, but the intelligence, but with little clarity or the intelligence, right? Which results in a lot of which cost in many different ways for these organizations, right? Because data is scattered in different formats. Skills are in people's heads. Tenure is always stored in HRMS. Goals are on Google Sheets, right, or the spreadsheets, which means you have the data, but it is not managed properly. It is not. Um, it is not connecting with it is not connected in terms of the data that you need to utilize it for further taking better decisions. If these dots are not connected, it results in slow decisions, biased reviews, and missed growth opportunities, which again cost a lot when we think about it from at an organizational level, right? Individually, yes, it definitely impacts your employees for their career growth. And when this accumulates at the larger level, it costs to the entire organization. So that's why to solve that problem, to eliminate this data fragmentation, we have something called people data layer. So people data layer is all for taking better decisions with the data that you have. So that's where UpRaise comes in picture, which moves your static data, which are in archives or which is scattered across different platforms, to active attributes, which will help you to take better decisions, to um, execute better actions. And all of this will happen within Jira, because we all know that when you are using Jira, everyone is in Jira. All the data that you have is in Jira. You are managing different projects. You have all your employees within the Jira. So you don't have to go to any other tool or multiple tools to manage the data to connect out. Everything will remain under Appraise, Appraise for Jira, which is already there for you. Now, so like I said, there are going to be two phases, right? First is about managing your data, and then the second is to activating that data to take better decisions. So When we talk about employee data, first of all, what comes in our mind is the name of the employee, their designations, their teams, or maximum at max, their basic information that is already there, possibly in their resumes about their past jobs, their career history, and all. But of course, when it comes to employee data, it is beyond that. You can gather data in terms of employees in very different angles, in very different directions, that will help you to manage your employees and take actionable um, insights from that data. So what are all these things are? So we have some examples here. For example, career interest of your employees, so you know where they exactly want to go in their career path, which will help managers to coach their team members, or which will help an organization to suggest some certifications based on that, right? If you have their time zone data, you would be able to understand their hybrid reality, right? You will be able to understand their demographics. If you know their skills and competencies, you will be able to know that how you can better utilize those skills and competencies in your regular process for different projects, and so on. If you know what certifications they have already done, you will be able to know that where you can accommodate that particular employee, where they can perform best, right? Or if there is something that they need to add up to that. And then the tenure bands, right? So this will help you to understand the retention risk analysis, right? It will help you to do the better understand, based on their tenure bands, how far employee has come, what they have contributed so far, and what exactly is happening with that employee. Based on that, you can take better decisions whether that person will leave with you, or that person will stay with you, or they will leave the organization. So this kind of analysis you can do. So all in all, these are just some examples of the attributes that you can create. But of course, based on the size of your organization, based on your focus for your employees, you can create n number of profile attributes to store your employee data um, within UpRaise, right? So we will talk about that in a bit. So let's do a first demo where I will show how you can create a custom profile attribute to store your employee data. I have also created one sample dashboard where you can see how managers can, differently glance at the uh, different data sets of your employees, and how you can do bulk importing or updating of data instead of working on those messy sheets or updating your data one by one, right? So let's move on to the demo first. So first of all, we will talk about profile. So this is profile attribute. So this is UpRaise app, and out of many different modules, we have something called company directory to manage your employee data here. As you can see, there are different tabs like users, teams, designations. Like I said, the very basic information that anyone would store into their employee records or into their HRMS, which is very default for everyone. But if you want to go beyond that, you will always have these profile attributes that you can create. Not just the profile attributes, but you can segment those profile attributes into different sections, right? So in employment details, possibly you will have very basic details like their employee ID, their joining dates, or their job designation. In personal details, you might have their personal contacts, address, emergency numbers, etc. So if you think of it from an employee perspective, you will have everything available at one place. You don't really have to look at different places for this kind of employee data, right? So these are the different sections that are here. Now, when we talk about creating an attribute, you simply click on this add attribute option and you name an attribute here, right? So for example, let's say I want to jot down all the tech skills of an employee, right? Here I am naming that particular attribute. You can enable or disable that. So based on that, you can utilize it. Then there are different sections, like I said. So this possibly will come into employees' job details, right? And then you can add a quick description that what this attribute is all about, what all information one users will find in this particular attribute, and then you can define that define a type of a field, right, based on what kind of data you are putting in, right? So for example, if you are putting in an address of the employee, you would say, okay, multi-line text field will work here. But something like text stack or skills here, in this case, I think the multiple choice question, multiple choice field will be useful here, because you will be able to add multiple skills and you can keep on adding those skills and select the relevant one for each employee. So in this way, you can use this multiple choice option, right? So for example, let's say Jira administration, right? Then let's say you want to add something like Java, or let's say Node.js, right? So these are different types of skills that you can add. So you can keep on adding these tech skills as things changes. As we all know, in technology, every day things keep changing, right? So the most important one these days is AI, right? So in this way, you can keep adding on these different options and you can create it. You can not only create it, you can also manage the visibility, whether it is a public attribute. If it's not public, then whether it should be visible to only the user, to their managers, to their indirect reports, indirect managers, etc. So think of it from a different perspective here. So let's say you are adding something which is confidential, like your financial details of your employee, which is their account number, or any specific ID right there, right? So in that case, this data should not be disclosed to everyone. So in that case, you would only keep it to self, which means only UpRaise admins can view it, or the employee themselves can view it. It's also based on the editable too. So you can also give your permission to edit it. In this case, you may not want to, if you are storing something, some personal information like their phone numbers, addresses, or these kind of IDs, etc., you can make it editable to self. But when you are adding some um, attributes like this one, right, the one that we are talking, text skills, it should be always possibly editable only by the HR team members, right? Because they have to provide their certifications, or they have to provide those documents. And based on that, after reviewing that only, you will be, HR will be editing this information. So in this case, you can manage the visibility and editing options of the profile attribute and simply create that attribute. When we go to any user profile, okay, so I guess I already have this one. I'll just quickly add a unique name, and that it is added into the text skills is added into that particular section here, right? And all of this data will be visible on the user profile as well. So this is the profile of a user individual, and you can see how these profile attributes are visible here. If these profile attributes are editable to them, they will have this edit option. Otherwise, they won't be able to edit it. If it's not visible to them, that attribute will not be added to this profile page here. In this way, you can move to any user's profile and look at their employee data or the attributes that's there, right? So this was the first part that we wanted to cover here. Then manager's view, right? So if I navigate to a dashboard, now you can either create the dashboard. So before coming to the dashboard, I'll go to the segments part here, right? So here you can see that you can create different segments. So segments means in a very simple language, it is a saved filter of the group of people here, right? So for example, I'm a manager of a business team, and I always want to look at the data of my business team, right? So what I will do is I'll simply create a segment and I'll define the filters, right? So people from the business team, right? And then I can keep on adding those filters, right? So there are different types of filters, their roles, their designation, their statuses, employee IDs, etc., 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 right? So by choosing these different segment filters here, you can create a safe filter. You can also define what columns this view or this segment should have. So based on that, I'll have clarity, and I'll see that information across every employee there, and you can maintain the visibility. If you think that this is a private segment, you can create that segment. If you think that it has to be an all users, the public segment, you can create that as well, right? You can create these customizable segments even for public, even publicly as well. So that's how you will be able to create these different segments, and then you can pull those segments into the dashboards here, right? So we have different dashboard gadgets created. So if we talk about this one here, you will be able to see that I can quickly take a look at, okay, how many users I have in my team currently, or what are their designations versus skills, etc. So we'll come back to this part, but this particular dashboard gives me a quick lookout at my team's demographics or team's information, which will be helpful for me to go into one-on-one meetings with the leaders, or maybe a team meeting with my own team, right? So this dashboard will be quickly helpful for me to make better decisions in terms of my team or any kind of data. So you can create these segments and you can pull that data out of those that company directory into the analytical data or the dashboard kind of data. And then how you can bulk import or update. Now, as we all know that in case of enterprise level companies, they will have thousands or hundreds of employees, and it is very painful to update data one by one or even insert the data into the system. So we take care of that pain by using a bulk import or bulk edit. So in terms of bulk sync and import, you can simply sync that data from the Jira user group. You simply select the relevant Jira user groups here and sync that data, right? Or you can also import that data from the export or import that data into Excel sheets as well, right? Now, when we go to the bulk edit option, when you click on bulk edit, in whichever segment you are, you will be able to see that uh, you can do bulk edits of your employee data, right? So for example, let's say I want to do a bulk edit of entire 67 users that I have currently here, right? I'll click on next here and I'll choose the um data option here, right? So for example, I want to change their leave policy, all of them, right? I'll just simply go to that particular leave policy, and I'll just select that leave policy, click on next, and I'll confirm that action. And for all 67 users, I'm just updating their leave policy in simple clicks. It goes for, all the other attributes as well, right? So if I go back here and if I do the same thing again, let's say that from my team, I'm just shifting maybe possibly 2 to 3 users to some other team. I will just simply handpick those users, change their team, and update that data in bulk. If I have, like, let's say, um, 10, 15 users going away from my team to some other team, I just don't have to update them one by one. I'll simply pick that particular attribute here and I'll say, okay, whether I want to replace or I want to take other actions, add to existing, etc. I'll just do that and I'll select that team here and I'll update that. And that's it. Within a few clicks, you are just bulk updating your employee data. So this will help you to maintain your data, to manage your data efficiently, and um, take those actions without spending time on the manual updating of the data. So that was one part. Now moving back to the presentation. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll just start from the current slide here. Right. So the first part of the data is done. Now the phase two comes in picture. When you have managed data, you have created proper data, you have everything in place. Now it's time to use that data and turning that data into decisions. Right. So in this case, like I mentioned, we have something called segments. We have different dashboards, etc., dashboard gadgets and all. So you can use that data to take better decisions and take some actions on the data that you have. So one of the features in UpRaise is about running a we call it forms. So basically in the forms module you can run different types of performance reviews or surveys or 360-degree reviews. So for this particular decision we will typically take an example of the surveys, right? So let's say you want to run a review cycle only for senior development or specifically for the remote teams, right? So in this case what you can do is you can create a segment, you can set up an automation and send a survey questionnaire to that particular group of people. If you are doing it on periodic basis, you can also automate that part, right? um, you can also understand, okay, so um, who is missing a specific certification, who is missing a specific skill set in their day-to-day work, and based on that you can set up proper goals for these users, right? Or let's say you are starting up with a new project that you have recently acquired, and you know that for that particular project to work on, you only need people who are AWS certified. So you can just handpick those relevant users and put them on that particular project. So you, later on, at later stage, when you are at the mid of the project or when you started, you don't face any problem because people are not skilled enough, right? So from that perspective, you need to find that data easily. Or let's say you are having your one-on-one conversations with your team members. In that case, you need to know about your employee. If you know their interest, you will be able to better retain those employees for your company in these one-on-one conversations, right? So that's how you activate the data in the phase two. Now let's talk about this particular demonstration here. So I'll go back to the dashboard once again, right? So I was talking about the data where I want to know as a team member that what all certifications people have done, right? So here I know that out of my 70 users here, right, I have only 21 people who are AWS certified, right? And possibly rest of the others need to still do that particular certification, or maybe I just need um, five more people, so I can just handpick them and give them a goal that they should complete this AWS certification in certain duration, so they can work on some of the important project, one of the important projects that they have, right? So you can quickly take this decision. So how exactly this data comes here is from the segments that I talked about, right? So here what I did is I just added one gadget here, the chart gadget. The chart type was pie chart here, and the company directory module has been selected here. I have selected my own team here because I want to know the graphs of my team, and I had created I have this attribute called certification created in the system, right? Where I'm storing what all certifications my team members have done. So against this particular statistic type for my team segment, I get this particular data here. And I know, okay, all these, which all users have completed this particular um, certification. Now, how you can get those team members here? You can simply go to the filter, the segment, and you can just select this particular certification filter here, right? And you can select AWS. Now, I will know, okay, I'll get the list of all 21 people who have completed their AWS certification, and I know what to do further and how to plan my project further, right? So this is how you can do. You have your own Teams segment. You have all the relevant profile attributes in place. You have all the data updated for those attributes. So it becomes simple for you to understand where exactly we stand and what next I have to do. So you can take better decision for your upcoming project based on that. Similar to that, like I mentioned, that okay, I think that I have 21 users, but I need 25 for that particular project, right? So I will pick 4 users because I already have all the data here on my dashboard, right? So for example, based on these tech skills here, I can select those users, or I also have this kind of graph here. So I can understand, okay, out of this, which all users should actually do a AWS certification and get a chance to work on that important project. So that's how you can fill that gap of skills or certification, assign some proper goals to your employees, and get things working there, right? And of course, the manager dashboard is what I was talking about from last few minutes. So you can add different types of gadgets here. So for example, I have added this pie chart, or I'll have this two-dimensional statistics reports, which is already added here on the dashboard. So this is the two-dimensional statistics report. Then this is the stats report again. So these are different types of reports that you can add. So from the UpRaise chart, this is pie chart, this is pie chart, this is bar chart, right? So in this way, you can add multiple gadgets to fetch the relevant data, analyze it, and take the better decisions on that. So this was the part of the second demo here. So with the help of all these practices and entire data set that you have right away, um, you will definitely make a better shift in terms of taking decisions, right? So in terms of your old HR tool and the old HR tool versus the new data people data layer that you have for your COs, for your PMs, for your managers, right? So that shift is going to be very quick when you are using UpRaise and you're using the company directory modules with all its robust features, which will result in less administrative friction and data-backed leadership, which will definitely lead to the better decisions, unbiased reviews, and progress for your employees, which in turn results in your organization's progress as well. So if you have any questions, you can ask those questions, or that's what we have all for today in terms of this session for managing your data and taking better decisions. So I'll just wait for you to ask some questions if you have any questions. Otherwise, you can just simply scan this QR code and get the link to UpRaise People Automation app and try it for free for 30-day trial. Stop sharing my screen. Okay. It seems we do not have any questions. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session.